Hey guys, so I know I haven't reviewed a movie in a while. I was busy with school, but now I'm back and I'm here to review 5 movies in one video. So this is gonna be terrible. I mean, fun. This is gonna be fun. It's gonna be a blast to edit. I'm kidding. I'm kinda excited to do this, so let's just get into it. The first movie I saw is Longshot, so I'm gonna be reviewing all the movies that I should have reviewed after Endgame. So, the first movie I saw is Longshot. It's a movie with Seth Rogen and Charlize Theron in the starring roles. And in this movie, Fred Flarsky, played by Seth Rogen, is a gifted and free-spirited journalist who has a knack for getting into trouble. Charlotte Field, played by Charlize Theron, is one of the most influential women in the world, on the other hand, a smart, sophisticated, and accomplished politician. So when Fred unexpectedly runs into Charlotte, he soon realizes that she was his former babysitter and childhood crush. So when Charlotte decides to make a run for the presidency, she impulsively hires Fred as her speechwriter, much to the dismay of her trusted advisors. This movie was super entertaining from start to finish. I had a blast. The most surprisingly great aspect about this movie was how good the chemistry was between Seth Rogen and Charlize Theron. They felt so natural together, and it was amazing to see on screen. The movie itself throughout was also super funny. Almost all the jokes landed really well. A lot of the dialogue felt really natural, which I wasn't expecting, and that was really refreshing. This isn't a perfect movie though. I did have a few issues with it. There are a few really dumb aspects in the movie, and you'll know what I'm talking about when you watch it. They go a little over the top with some things, but overall, Longshot, to me, was a really good time in theaters with 2 amazing leads who work really well together with their great performances, and it's really funny, and by the end, it's really sweet. Longshot is great, and I'm going to give it a B+. The next movie I saw is a Netflix film called Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil and Vile. This is a Ted Bundy biopic of sorts. If you don't know who that is, he's a really terrible serial killer, and he's played by Zac Efron in this movie, and in some ways this is told also from the perspective of his girlfriend, played by Lily Collins, and how, she's slowly realizing that he really is a killer and the extent of the things he's done. I didn't really know what to expect going in because it does have a Rotten Tomato meter, and a lot of people seem to not really like it too much, but I don't really understand. I really enjoyed the movie. I think a lot of people wanted this movie to be more about the incidents that Ted Bundy was a part of and all that, but I really enjoyed the court trials and, all that drama with his family and stuff that was happening in this movie, and part of that is due to Zac Efron's excellent performance. Honestly, as of right now, I don't know if I've seen enough movies this year so far to judge this, but I really think that Zac Efron should be nominated Best Actor next year at the Oscars as of right now. We'll see how things go, but he is really that great in this movie. One of the reasons he is so good and almost perfect casting is because Ted Bundy, if you didn't know in real life, was that kind of smooth, handsome guy who, attracted, all these women to gain his trust until eventually, and Zac Efron didn't really surprise me when he was really good at that, but he really killed it as well, being super insane when he needed to be, and that is what really surprised me about his performance. It really does show his range as an actor. Also, Lily Collins, who plays his girlfriend, gives an excellent performance, and you can really see how she slowly starts to break down more and more throughout the film. She was really good, and she's also really... she's nice. She's nice. A couple negatives I have. The first act is a little bit rushed, and throughout the movie, sometimes the pacing can be a little bit off, but not much other than that. I really enjoyed this movie overall. I definitely recommend you watch it. It's on Netflix right now. Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil and Vile is great, and I'm going to give it a B+. Next movie I saw was in theaters. It's a small movie, John Wick Chapter 3. I'm kidding, it's not small at all. It's the next sequel in this franchise of John Wick films with Keanu Reeves in the starring role. And in this movie, everyone's after John Wick. Everyone's trying to kill him because of the events in John Wick Chapter 2, how that movie ended. And so John Wick has to try to survive, but, he's John Wick, so you'll definitely see how that goes. I kept hearing really good things, and I was super excited because I love the first 2, and in fact, I rewatched both of them before I watched this movie, and unfortunately, I was a little disappointed with this movie. It's still a good movie, but not nearly as good as the first two. It's not a great film, and it is held back by a few things. However, I still liked it, and there were some really memorable moments, so let's start with the positives for this movie. Keanu Reeves, of course, is great once again. He always knows how to do action movies. This movie was 18A, so there was more violence in a couple scenes, particularly one involving throwing knives, which was so badass, one of the most memorable moments in the movie so far. The movie also looks visually stunning. It was just eye candy. The whole thing just looks great. Now, let's get into the negatives. It was a really enjoyable time, but it just isn't, like I said, as good as the first two. Now, let's get into the negatives. It was a really enjoyable time, but it just isn't as great, like I said, like the first two were. The story isn't as compelling, and it feels kind of like it's lacking something that the first two always fulfilled. Now, if this was its own movie that didn't have two movies before it, I wouldn't really have that problem, because it would seem to me like they can't really make anything more than just a fun time. But since I know that the quality can be better looking back at the first two, that's just what really disappointed me about this film. And what also makes this really disappointing is this is just kind of another setup for the fourth movie. And I know the second one did that too, setting up for the third one, but it had a lot going for it, and this doesn't have as much going for it. It's just kind of an entertaining time, and then it's like, oh, fourth one's coming. And it doesn't really have the payoff that the second one had. And, you know, of course the first one had as well, but in terms of, you know, setting up a sequel, this really disappointed me because it didn't have a lot going for it throughout. And I know in the end it seems like I'm trashing on this movie, but it was just the fact that it could have been so much better that bothers me. But still, John Wick Chapter 3 is good, and I'm going to give it a B. Second to last movie I watched is Toy Story 4, and in this movie, Woody, Buzz Lightyear, and the rest of the gang embark on a road trip with Bonnie and a new toy named Forky. The adventurous journey turns into an unexpected reunion as Woody's slight detour leads him to his long-lost friend Bo Peep. As Woody and Bo discuss the old days, they soon start to realize that their worlds apart when it comes to what they want from life as a toy. I had to rewatch the first three before this one because I saw them so long ago when I was younger, but I watched those, and then I got to this movie and I was super excited to see it because I thought it was impossible for it to be good because the third one ended it so well, but people were saying really good things about this movie. So I watched it, and I really liked it. It is definitely my least favorite out of all of them, unfortunately, but it was still really good. There is a lot of really creative and new ideas in this movie that I thought really worked. The story itself I thought was really interesting and had a really good message. The really great music is back, which is always nice to see. Forky is a great new character, and he's really funny in the movie. There are also a couple other characters that are introduced that did have quite a bit to do in the movie, including Keanu Reeves, who was really funny, and Go Canada. It's where I live. Oh, you want the city? Oh, you want my address? Oh. But anyways, overall, I didn't have too much to say about this movie, but I'd say the only negatives I have is that it is a little rushed. I wish the movie was a bit longer, and some of the older characters were kind of pushed in the background so the new characters could shine. But other than that, it's a really good time. Sure, maybe Toy Story 3 ended it better and everything, but to me, I still think it is a wonderful addition to the franchise. Toy Story 4 is great, and I'm going to give it an A-. The last movie I saw today, or tomorrow, depending on when I upload this, I don't know, but the last movie I saw was the 23rd MCU film, SpiderMan Far From Home. I was so excited to see this movie, and in this movie, following the events of Avengers Endgame, Spider-Man must step up to take on new threats in a world that has changed forever. I can't really say much more than that, I don't want to spoil anything, but that's my short summary of this movie. Of course, I was really looking forward to this. It's the MCU movie right after Endgame. I need to know what happens after that movie. And of course, they delivered. They did it again. This is a great Marvel movie. I really enjoyed it as much as I possibly could have, and I was just so excited the whole time. There's so much to talk about, but I don't want this video to be too long, so I'll keep it shorter, and plus I can't spoil anything, of course. I would never do that to you guys. I want everyone to experience this movie. So let's get the negatives out of the way first. I do have a couple gripes. First off, a decision is made by Peter that was so rushed and basically causes like a lot of the problems in the movie, and I just don't see how he realized it was a good idea just because there wasn't enough time to flesh out the decision, and it just happened so fast. And about halfway through the movie there's a huge exposition dump, but it was done in like a really crazy and insane way, so I think it might grow on me in the future. But that's about it. So now let's get into all the amazing stuff about this movie. One of the best things about it is that it makes me like Tom Holland a billion times more as Spider-Man. Not that I didn't before, I always really liked him, but this makes me like him even more and really realize how great of a casting choice he is. He really nails the emotion that he needed after the events of Endgame and Tony's death. If you haven't seen Endgame yet, you don't give a shit by now, so I don't care if I spoil that. I'm sorry. You had your chance. I also really liked the relationship between him and MJ. Also, Zendaya was fantastic in this movie. Their friends were really good as well. As always, Jacob Batalon as Ned. He's really funny, he's really charismatic, and he really enhances the film as well. One of the best parts about this movie, very fortunately, was Mysterio. Jake Gyllenhaal is fantastic, and he has a lot to do in the movie, and it gets pretty crazy. I really loved the music, and the action was improved from the first movie, and it was really exciting. Make sure to stay for the post-credit scene and the end credit scene. Both of them are really important. In fact, I don't know why at least the first mid-credit scene wasn't at the end of the movie. It was so incredibly important. I was like, I feel so bad for the people that walked out. But then again, if you don't know that you have to stay for the mid-credits and end credit scenes in a Marvel movie by now, there's something wrong with you. But overall, I absolutely love this movie. It was super fun and I was thoroughly entertained from start to finish. I guarantee that everyone is going to have a blast who watches this. It's definitely one of the best movies of the year in my opinion so far. Spider-Man Far From Home is amazing and I'm going to give it an A. I know these reviews were like really short and quick, but if I did the full length of a review for every single movie in this video, it would be a really long video. I do not want to do that. But that's my 5-movie review. This is my combo review. Hope you enjoyed. I'll be posting more reviews soon now. I'll be less lazy and it's summer now, so I have more time. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe, like, and share. I'd really appreciate it if you did. And as always, have a great day. Peace out.